Facebook, I believe, has made quite broad rounds around the world, really, with regulators, supervisors, and lots of people to discuss their plans, and that certainly includes us. And it's something we're looking at. There are potential benefits here. There are also potential risks, particularly of a currency that could potentially have large application.
That was Fed Chair Powell today addressing Facebook's big cryptocurrency unveil this week. This is lawmakers already pushing back on the tech giant, calling for Facebook to put a halt on its Libra launch plans. Our next guest says this is only the beginning of the crypto renaissance. Let's bring in Mike Bucella, partner at BlockTower Capital. Mike, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
You actually think that Libra is going to help the crypto community in general because if a small percentage of people who adopt Libra actually diversify, that could be a tailwind. I don't understand, though, why these people who would use Libra, would be interested in diversifying into other coins.
Sure. So I think a few things. At the start, this is more of a global payments announcement than a Facebook announcement. Facebook is one equal part of 28 members, soon to be 100, over the course of 5 years, that will affect anything that touches transfer of value. I think the things they've done right is obviously a lot of regulatory pushback. Things they've done right is, for example, they registered with FinCEN already, done. They have MSB licenses in 50 states. So they've taken the regulatory step forward first. They did focus on, again, a lot of what cryptocurrencies represent are grassroots efforts. They're now taking one of the largest distribution forces in the world, 2.7 billion monthly active users, and are creating what is hopefully a very valuable asset for the digital asset, crypto asset industry going forward. And they provided a very clear and transparent roadmap to doing so.
Right. I mean, I get all of that, but I'm still trying to figure out why this is actually good for the crypto community. I mean, I feel like this embodies exactly what crypto was supposed to be and never became or hasn't become yet.
Well, you have to separate the ideologies of both. So the reason they can coexist is because the folks who invest in Bitcoin are hedging against trade wars, are hedging against currency wars. They don't trust governments. They're initially, back in the onset of crypto assets, they were the cypherpunk and anarchist groups, the Austrian economists. Sure. The reason that this will eventually work is that if you onboard even 1% of those 2.7 billion monthly active users, and they're using whatever it may be, Calibra's wallet out of Facebook or another competitive wallet, the potential for them to diversify their crypto assets into I would consider this consortium its own sovereignty now, and to a non-sovereign entity. That could be something that's appealing.
Why do you think Facebook users want to do that if they haven't done it already? I guess that's what I'm trying to make the link between
Sure. So
what that draw is.
There's still many people who want to own crypto assets but aren't comfortable with the UI, the UX. Facebook is an expert in user interface and user experience. They're going to make it almost seamless for you to transfer your fiat dollars into Libra tokens, and hopefully they then tend to support additional tokens.
That's what Tether was supposed to be, but never was.
Tether didn't have MasterCard,
it didn't have
Visa,
any backing.
PayPal,
it didn't have the dollars
Correct. Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, many problems.
So to the extent that you think users want to be in cryptocurrencies, to the extent that those are speculators, this is not a speculation at all. This is the anti-speculation. This is pegged at, whatever the basket is.
Yeah.
So I don't get that part of it.
So again, it shouldn't be viewed as a speculation, as a speculative asset. Right? This is backed by USD, Euro, Yen, Pound. The idea is that it remains a stable asset pegged to those basket of currencies. But what it's going to do is open up a payments ecosystem or a value transfer ecosystem that didn't exist before. There's 90 million companies in the Facebook ecosystem. If you include the ecosystem of the entire consortium of large tech companies, venture capital firms, I think eventually financial services firms. I was at Goldman Sachs macro conference in Toronto yesterday, and the opening remarks from David Solomon were about obviously the macro environment more broadly, but they touched on potentially this disruptive factor in fintech.
I think what Karen is getting to is a skepticism that a Facebook user of Libra would be the kind of person, even a percentage of them, that would speculate on other digital assets.
Right. So again, I go back to many people who want to access this space but are too nervous to at the moment. It may be 1%, it may be 5%.
So piece that together though with if a trade deal happens. And a lot of people in this space are saying, there's a almost exact negative correlation to when China put tariffs on in May and the S&P 500 and Bitcoin. If we reach a deal, what other catalyst is there?
for the
For
demand for
crypto.
non-sovereign assets for crypto.
Yeah.
Again, it represents digital value in a way that we've never had before. This is the if let's take Bitcoin for example, it's the largest of them all and clearly the dominant player in the space. That is a digital store of value that cannot be inflated, it cannot be touched, it cannot be confiscated. That's what the real inherent value in Bitcoin.
But the catalyst to go beyond 9,000, to go to 10, to go to 15.
An alternative asset that.
So it's the same stuff that existed before.
The same,
when it was at
and
3.
really, so the driver of performance of Bitcoin this year, this was well known. I mean, Facebook announced this a while ago. It's not a shock to anyone. The real drivers of what's happened in Bitcoin were all the other announcements thus far. Fidelity finally launching their custody product. You have Whole Foods, AT&T, Nordstrom, other companies accepting cryptocurrency. You have hundreds of engineers within each of the exchanges that are developing faster and better trading engines. Right. You have a robust options market. We're looking at variant swaps in crypto assets now, which is pretty exciting to have.
Mike, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Mike Bucella.
Thank you.
Tim, what do you think?
Well, I think Facebook has certainly had a huge benefit from this news. And the reality is that when Mike talks about that there's been interest in speculation, there's also been interest at a time when there's been uncertainty around the Fed. It sounds like it's the new gold. That's not really the essence and the ethos for why people said they were coming forward with crypto. It's why we knew crypto was a very popular place for people to trade and be speculating, because it was wildly volatile, because the markets weren't efficient. So ultimately, when I hear that some of the biggest payments folks in the world are developing this network together, that's peer-to-peer payments. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's all crypto. But again, I think the reason for crypto has been more about speculation.
Again, Mike touched on this, but second derivative again, if you wonder why banks are trading like utilities, I think this doesn't happen obviously next week or a month from now, but banks are being disenfranchised by exactly the things that Mike and Tim just started talking about, which is why, in my opinion, there might be some upside in banks, but to me it's sort of mitigated and probably quite limited in this environment.